I welcome you all in the first session of the awareness of environmental law in the activity which is initiated by Law for All. The activity Law for All basically is initiated with the theme that everybody must know the law of the land. Ignorance of law is no excuse. This principle is also applicable to the environmental law, and environmental law is not an exception to the rule. We need to understand that laws we must know, our rights and duties that are based on the law we must know, and we must be vigilant towards our rights, because law and the legal processes help only those who are vigilant over their rights. We need to perform our duties, we need to know our rights that are available under the law. Same, as I have told you, is applicable to the environmental laws also. Environment is the surrounding around every individual. Surrounding around every individual from the cradle to the tomb, from the birth to the death, and hence environmental issue is very essential for all of us. The laws pertaining to the environment we must understand. The happenings, the changes that are occurring in the environment ultimately have got the impact on the human life also. Now, during this COVID situation, pandemic, no doubt COVID has got adverse impact on the social, economic aspects of everybody's life. But it has got one positive aspect, and that during the lockdown period, the activities were restrained. There were restrictions imposed, due to which industrial activities were not in place. Those were not in working conditions. Vehicular pollution has not occurred, which has shown that environmental degradation has taken the reverse gear, which is suggestive of now the pollutants in the atmosphere are in less number, or rather in less percentage, and thus the pollution level has gone down. But this is a temporary situation, as we all know that this pandemic is going to over. We are very optimistic that the life will again be initiated fresh, but we have to be cautious about the environmental pollution. Environmental pollution which occurs due to the human activities, no doubt pollution also occurs in the natural processes, but the pollution which occurs with the human activities is causing more danger, more threat, and the hazardous situations not only for the human life but overall biota that is available in the nature. Now, time and again, when we are saying so, in what way it is hampering the interest of an individual, that is what we need to understand. We find that the percentage of bone diseases is increasing nowadays. Even at local level, it has got impact at regional, state, national, and international level also. This pollution and environmental degradation has got its impact. Let us try to understand it. We find at local level, we find the cases, we hear the cases in the media that people, even in villages, they are suffering from the bone diseases, and these bone diseases are essentially linked with the pollutants available in the or present in the water. From where it has come? So it is due to the industrialization. This particular aspect we would be talking about it little bit later, how industrialization has got the impact or adverse impact on the environment. But the point for our discussion right now is that people are suffering from various diseases, maybe skin diseases, maybe bone diseases, maybe visually and hearing some kind of disabilities they are facing due to the environmental pollution. May it be sound pollution, may it be gaseous substances that are present in the air. And moreover, due to the ozone depletion, we find that the UV rays that are directly reaching from the sun are further adversely having impact on the biota, especially on the human life, and cancerous diseases are on rise. Thus, the depletion of ozone layer, greenhouse effect, the increasing temperature of the in the nature, that is global warming, are the areas of concern for the worldwide society, or throughout the world, throughout the globe, the discussions are happening therein. Now, global warming has got further adverse impacts on the rise of sea level, maybe landsliding is occurring. Apart from that, it is having its impact on the patterns of winds. Then even seasons, it has got impact on the seasons, due to which crop patterns are to be changed, or rather it will have impact on that. And thus the global warming has got the close connect with the socio-economic aspects of the common person also. Thus, at local level, regional, national level, and the uh, international level, the concern is about the growing temperature of the globe. We have to consider that this all, may it be the ozone depletion, may it be the increasing pollution, may it be greenhouse effect, etc. Why basically the pollution is occurring? Whether it is only the human activities, as I have told you, maybe it's through some natural processes like flood comes, or due to volcano, etc. But apart from that, human being and his unmindful activities are responsible for the cause of pollution. Now let us consider all those activities under five broad headings. The five factors we let us consider. First is industrialization. Due to industrial activities, waste is generated. No doubt industrialization has occurred for the convenience, for the comfort of human being, no doubt about it. But the waste which is generated is causing problem of environmental degradation, or the causing pollution in the nature. So if effluents from the industries are allowed to move in the, or to run in the water canals, water is getting polluted, rivers are getting polluted. If the water is getting penetrated from the soil, underground water is getting polluted through the chimneys. If unrestricted manner, uncontrolled manner, if the gaseous substance, which is a waste again, is allowed to mix in the air is getting polluted. Thus the atmosphere, overall environment is getting polluted due to the industrial activities. Next is urbanization. Urbanization, no doubt again, urbanization is inclusive of many developmental aspects which are very essential for the human being, for the comfort of the human being. Then we find that urbanization again, if occurs in unmindful ways, then it has got adverse impact. Slums are getting developed. There are problems of sewage. Overcrowded areas are having again adverse impact or pressure on even the administration in that particular area. It has got certainly certain negativities that are involved therein. Next is deforestation. No doubt, deforestation or denudation of forest is again essentially linked with the urbanization, which is essentially linked also with the uh, industrialization processes. It may be for certain developments like construction of dam or thermal power stations, if are to be constructed. So may it be the development that is required, but development is on one side and environment is on other side. If there is a tussle, if there is a fraction in between, and if suppose for the want of development we neglect the environmental issues, then certainly environmental degradation will occur. Next aspect which we have to take into account is population explosion or increase in population. Why this particular aspect we have to keep in mind? Because the natural resources are limited, that would not be increased. And if population is getting increased, we would be taking much than the nature allows us. So there would be exploitation, over exploitation of the natural resources, which again would be contributing towards environmental degradation, may cause even pollution to certain extent. Another aspect is research and development. You might be surprised to know, basically research is essential, may it be scientific research, may it be social research. Research is essential because we are trying to find out ways and means, or certain kind of findings we are trying to get through the research, which would help to solve the problems that are existing. Okay, so research and development is very useful, but when research and development goes without considering the ethical norms, it would certainly hamper the environment, which is very essential to be taken into account, that research development is the area which must be based on the sound base of ethics, values, without which there would be hazardous situation. Now, just giving you a reference, in today's scenario, whatever COVID-19 situation or the corona pandemic worldwide has occurred, it is alleged that it is generated in the lab. This is again an example how the research may be used for doing bad things in the society or creating havoc in the society. We do not yet know whether there is a truth or not in this particular story, but just for the sake of example, I have placed it before you. So, may it be research and development, may it be urbanization, industrialization, all those are essential. But we want the development. But what is required is the sustainable development. We need to consider that coming generations also are entitled to have their entitlements over the natural resources, and we must not grab it. What is required is we have to think about coming generations, and then we have to utilize whatever resource that is available. What that is known as the sustainably we have to develop. Now, one point again we have to be very clear, that we want development. For that, maybe sometimes environment is being it is placed at stake, and time and again I am giving you a reference that we have to consider environment, whether environment is really very important for us, and for that we have to move towards the human rights aspect. We find that in the beginning, when the notion of human rights was germinated, at that particular point of time, maybe environment was not considered to be a part and parcel of the human right. It is, but now it is considered as third generation right. Everybody, every individual has got right over pure and clean environment, which is inclusive of pure water, pure air, and even food quality must be good and pure, for which every individual, every human being is entitled to. If it is so, there must be some system that would be protecting the interest of people by and large. Common masses' interest must be protected. And for that, I must tell you that law acts as effective instrument to protect the interest of common masses, to protect the interest of environment, for the better protection of interest of human being. Now let us try to understand it, how it occurs. It is not so that prior to independence there were no laws. Though the laws were not specifically created for the protection of environment, whatever provisions which were there present, created by the Britishers during colonial period, there were certain references of protection of environment. If we look at the common law practices, nuisance, negligence was considered to be the tortious activity for which unliquidated damages. In simple way, we can understand that compensation was the remedy available. Certain injunctions, other orders you could get. Apart from that, Criminal Procedure Code, which is again a creation by the Britishers, from section 133 to 142 in CRPC, certain provisions are created whereby magistrate is given power to issue the injunction orders prohibiting the public nuisance. Now, public nuisance, when it's created through the environmental pollution or other any activity through which environmental pollution is created, that is causing annoyance or public nuisance. Even for that, these particular provisions can be taken into account. Such kind of provisions were incorporated during British time. Now, moving further, apart from that, Indian Penal Code, though was not providing specific provisions for the environmental protection as such, but certainly had certain provisions pertaining to the food adulteration, pertaining to the drugs, etc., which certainly can be linked with the environment, with the environmental protection and prevention of pollution. Now, there is a paradigm shift after the period of colonial period. After independence, we got our own Indian constitution. This Indian constitution, which is considered to be the parent act for many legislations, even the legislations which are created for the protection of environment as such. Let us have a cursory look over the provisions in the constitution. Constitution of India in part 3 of the constitution provides for the fundamental right. Article 21 of the constitution that speaks about the fundamental right to life and personal liberty. Now, there are plethora of judgments by the Honorable Supreme Court and High Court that has provided that environment, that is right to pure environment, is inclusive of right to life and liberty. Thus, one can say, or rather it is well established law in India that right to environment, pure and clean environment, which is inclusive of right to clean water, right to clean air, maybe proper sewage system, proper solid waste management, etc. That is inclusive of right to life of an individual. Why am I insisting on this particular point that this is fundamental right? This is fundamental right. One thing we have to keep in mind that any right, when is recognized as a fundamental right, if is getting violated, especially through the state agency, every individual has got right to directly reach to the Supreme Court or High Court. Under 226, one can reach to the High Court, and under Article 32 of the Constitution, the person can reach to the Supreme Court, which is not a similar procedure for when any other right gets violated. For that, you need to reach to either tribunal or to the lower judiciary, and directly reaching to the High Court or the Supreme Court, such kind of remedy is not available in case of violation of any other rights. But the remedy is available when fundamental right is getting violated or rather has been violated. Environment, pure environment is essential for right to life, thus is included in right to life, which is a fundamental right. If is getting violated by somebody, especially by the state agency, then the person has got right to move to the Supreme Court, to the High Court under writ jurisdiction. That is the essence which I need to communicate it to you. Now, moving ahead with part 4 of the Constitution. There are certain provisions as like animal husbandry or certain rather enhancement of increase of standard of life of an individual that can be essentially linked with the environmental aspects. For a long time, since inception, there was no specific provision as such which provided protection or the responsibility of the state to protect the environment. It was quite after a long time that the state was provided with the responsibility. That was after Swarna Singh committee submitted the report for the amendment in the constitution. It was in the 1975 Swarna Singh committee submitted the report which expected to have certain provisions pertaining to the environment, specifically part 4 wherein 48A has been inserted. Basically, it has a base of international scenario. May it be UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and then thereafter very recently before the submission of this particular report was Stockholm's Conference. So, this particular provision 48A was inserted which provides the responsibility of the state to protect the environment, to take the initiative or to take the measures for the protection of environment. Now, apart from this, another provision which is incorporated in the constitution is part 4A, that is fundamental duties. 51AG provides for the fundamental duty of an individual to protect the environment. Now, looking at those provisions, let us consider it simultaneously. The part 3 of the constitution, part 4 of the constitution and part 4A of the constitution provide specifications, provide specific provisions pertaining to the environmental protection. It provides right to an individual, fundamental right to an individual. Simultaneously, it imposes fundamental duty to the citizenry to protect the environment. Through Article 48A, the Constitution provides the responsibility on the state to protect the environment, but that also provides authority to the state to take action, including various enactments for the protection of state, for the protection of environment. Thus, the principle that is right and duties go hand in hand has been well maintained, rather strengthened by creation of certain provisions in the Constitution. Our Constitution is the main law of the country that provides specific responsibility on every citizenry to protect the environment, which is also inclusive of rivers and forests and plants, etc. etc. It provides responsibility on the state. So it is expected that state and the citizenry, vigilant citizenry, must go hand in hand for the protection of environment. On the basis of the constitutional principles and provisions incorporated in the Constitution, various laws have been enacted by our Parliament. Reference may be taken Water Act, Air Act, Environmental Protection Act, Biodiversity Act, etc., etc., which we would be discussing in coming sessions. Till then, I thank you all for the patient listening. Thank you.